right. Steve is jamming out over there doing his best impression of Genuine because it is genuinely a great episode tonight. SEC After Dark, presented by DeadSoxy, Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles. Joining me is my three amigos, Jake Thomas, Jeb Beecham, and Stephen Willis. We're also joined by the voice of God as our producer and our fifth picks person. Cassidy, our associate producer, will be in the chat. Her and Becky will be in the chat, managing our group of doofuses, and I mean that lovingly. So, as I said, we are presented by DeadSoxy. So, hey there, college sports fans. Want to show your allegiance down to your socks? Well, DeadSoxy's got you covered with vibrant socks in your team's colors. Whether it's purple and gold, crimson or cardinal, DeadSoxy is the place to go. Find a pair that you like. Well, subscribe for big-time perks like a constant 25% discount, early access to exclusive styles like ones over Steve's shoulder and in his hands there. You have early access to those, and you have free shipping. Plus, we welcome new members with a free gift. That free gift is you get to hang out with Steve for a day. It's kind of like the Stanley Cup. That's the free gift.
That's not going to sell socks. There's not many socks.
He's the star of Locked On Ole Miss. Yeah. No, just kidding. It's probably actually a pretty dope gift. So why wait? Find your new socks at DeadSoxy.com right now. And as always, stay soxy. And we are also presented by BetOnline.ag, your number one source for all your sports wagering needs. If you want to bet on it, they have it. All the sports are in full swing right now, except Major League Baseball. Congrats to the Texas Rangers for their World Series win, first in franchise history. So Nolan Ryan is doing some backflips, and I think Nolan Ryan pitched in Game 5 and still throwing 110 miles an hour, and beating up Robin Ventura, which was impressive.
270 pitches in the game, just making GMs just lose their mind.
Yeah,
at what, 65 years old, something like that.
Yeah. Instead of Chuck Norris jokes, we need to replace that with Nolan Ryan.
Amen.
But if you want to bet it, they've got it, man. Bet against the Sharks because they suck at hockey, from what I've heard. If
don't bet against the Sharks in Oxford.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But they also have casino games as well. So head to betonline.ag right now and get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. The words are very, very tough right now. You enter the promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to get your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Betonline.ag is where the game starts. Tell us about some pickles, Steve.
You know what? It's time to get locked on pickles. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, that is. They offer a variety of Cajun spice products like pickles, green beans, okra, and even carrots and asparagus. This is a family-owned company. They're homemade on the coast of Mississippi. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles have been pleasing pickle lovers for over 20 years now, and they have become the South's favorite pickle. These truly are the best pickles you will ever have, a strong dill flavor with a Cajun punch, no over-sour taste. This being a small business, they strive to keep the produce fresh and local from the start, keeping the final pickle product extra crisp and crunchy. You can find these pickle products online at thepickedstore.com or at your local Rouse's Market or other local southern stores near you on the Gulf Coast. That address is in the description of most of my Locked On Ole Miss videos as well. You can find it there, and I think it's in this one as well. Be sure to like Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickle product on Facebook and Instagram. Try these pickles, okra, and beans today. You will not be disappointed. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, the South's favorite pickle. And speaking of a pickle, Michigan is currently finding themselves in one.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a segue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the title of the show, the Big Ten, is what they were claiming that the SEC was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Lots of scandals going on in the Big Ten. Lots of things happening in the Big Ten. Not the
mostly in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, the
Michigan
State. They're on the struggle bus right now. Mm-hmm. It's not looking good for them.
Yeah, you have a situation where like 90% of America is rooting for Penn State this weekend, and 90% of America needs a shower.
Well, I'm in 10% because I got mine tonight.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Yeah. So, man, like this thing just keeps unraveling, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, he's
See
going
the
to
thing where
games.
him and Blake Corum formed an LLC out of Wyoming together.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I'm
He
getting
was a
choked up over here.
vacuum. Yeah, he either got arrested or fined or had to leave because he was running an illegal business of basically vacuum repair out of his house, and the HOA got pissed because there's 150 vacuum cleaners on the front porch. This is the guy that was masterminding all this stuff together. This is how you know this is just a person that was sitting over there to take the blame. I don't know if Connor Stallions knows that he's taking the blame and what's going on.
He thinks he's doing this for the big house.
Yeah, he's a useful idiot at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe Michigan thinks everybody is stupid. Maybe they are stupid. Who knows? But Michigan's defense of everybody else is doing it too whenever they started after we did and all of that, it doesn't fly. You look just as guilty no matter what happens between Ohio State and Michigan in the college football playoff this year. It is tainted. It is asterisks. And for the Big Ten, henceforth and throughout eternity, will be known as a without conference, a Pete Rose conference.
Very well put. Yeah, I mean, I just think between them, Ohio State, the scandals that happened at Maryland when they joined the conference with DJ Durkin, you have the stuff at Iowa with Kurt Ferentz and all the racist stuff and the racist trainer who actually got hired by Urban Meyer when he took the Jaguars job, which is quite hilarious.
Sports gambling at Iowa.
At Iowa. You have obviously the Penn State thing.
Yeah.
That was pretty big.
We're not even going to start about Michigan State because
Michigan State has a bunch.
Yeah.
They have a lot.
But the SEC is dirty. The SEC is dirty. And we do things at a higher standing than the corrupt, morally deprived SEC. That is
because
the
SEC thing. Just means more means they're just gonna do more to cheat. In Alabama, all they do is cheat. Ole Miss, all they do is cheat. Georgia, all they do is cheat. Tennessee, delivering money in McDonald's bags. All they do is cheat.
If Ole Miss would have done what Michigan has been accused of, not only would they have already gotten a postseason ban of a certain kind, they would be driven. They might have gotten the death penalty by now. The only reason that Michigan is still even standing is they're Michigan. And they're one of the top 5 most winningest programs of all time, maybe the winningest program of all time.
So does this mean that there's going to be a lot of sharks being humped or no sharks being humped because McElwain's going to be out of a job when they close down Central Michigan?
Yeah, seriously.
As a result.
I feel bad for Akron.
Yeah, Akron is
Akron. Yeah, any Mid-American Conference, I may not even have enough teams to have a championship game after this is over.
They may just wipe the Michigan screwed up so bad they may just wipe the MAC conference completely out.
Yeah, I might do it.
Give it a little bit, man. The Big Ten will just cannibalize it.
Yeah,
like they did the Pac-12. That's another thing. Remember the alliance last year when the ACC and the Pac-12 and the Big Ten came together to stop the evil SEC that is going to ruin everything, and the Big Ten just took that opportunity to just gut the Pac-12 and destroy that conference. Yep. Everything is projection. Everything the Big Ten is accusing you of is projection. It is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I mean, good Lord, dude. Like, there's scandal after scandal after scandal, and they went after and gutted an entire conference. When has the SEC gutted a conference?
They haven't. They got Texas and Oklahoma just because Texas and Oklahoma is like, this.
Can we join? Yeah, they put in their application to join. We didn't recruit them.
They saw all that money and said, "Here you go." Yeah,
we didn't recruit Missouri and A&M either.
Right.
I say we as a conference. The SEC didn't recruit them. They didn't go out and pilfer an entire conference. Big Ten did.
Yeah.
Big Ten
slimy, man. Big Ten slimy. I've lost so much respect for the Big Ten Conference. They can claim their AAU initiatives and all the academic stuff. It's crap. It's fraudulent. And I mean, that you can't really get around the way this has gone. And this is a horrible look. And here's the thing: they don't care that that they don't.
Yeah, they got more bravado about cheating than the SEC ever will.
Yeah,
I mean, and this is not to say that like stuff doesn't happen in other schools, and this is not to say that every school that we represent hasn't gotten dirty, a good bit. But I mean, some of the stuff that's happening in the Big Ten is just like above and beyond.
Yeah, the NCAA
everybody else is doing.
It's recruiting problems that happen in the SEC, and that's what is the SEC's problem. In the Big Ten, it's legal problems. There's people going to jail, and stuff that's actually really problematic.
2 of your member institutions have child predator cases, Nassar and Sandusky.
Yeah, do they have to have a red dot over campus?
Yeah. Oh,
that's
God.
good.
What's Penn State's what's their football facility called? Isn't it like Freedom Hall or something like that?
No, wasn't that in Louisville? Wasn't that in Louisville back in the day before they became the Yum Center? Wasn't it Freedom Hall before then?
Oh yeah, okay. It's something like Hall at Penn State. It's got a red dot on it. On
That's another thing. Louisville in basketball went from Freedom Hall to the KFC Yum Center. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, well, the Yum Corporation that owns KFC and a bunch of other restaurants is based in Louisville. I learned. I took a little weekend trip years ago to Louisville. Went to the Louisville Slugger Museum. That's a cool place right there.
Okay.
So going back to the Big Ten, at this point, the Big Ten is going to have to come down on Michigan because I don't see the NCAA doing anything. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. Here's the problem. This is what everybody needs to know about this situation.
What if all the member institutions fled back to the Pac-12?
But they won't.
They won't.
Here's the problem that the Big Ten has. Do you say, Michigan, you can't go to the playoff? Because if you don't go to the playoff, you cost the rest of the member institutions $50 million. And you're not going to do that. Your goal is to get Ohio State and Michigan in the tournament because that's $100 million for your member institutions. So the Big Ten is not going to do anything that is dealing with postseason berths. Anybody that claims otherwise, they're kind of making it up. Michigan is trying to delay because they know if they can delay 4 weeks, they're going to be able to get through this year. They're going to play their game for the championship. Unless they play Georgia, because Georgia's going to 50 burger them again if that happens.
I hope so.
But they want to get into the tournament because they think this is their year. They've read their press clippings and they think this is the case. So it's going to be really, really.
They read the notes that Connor Stallions gave them. That's what they.
And
read.
you don't think the playoff committee would take that in consideration? I mean, if you're talking about a team that most likely will have those wins vacated anyway, with what all's going on. Do you let them into the playoffs? I guess you don't really have a choice, do you?
It's not going to be ruled on in time, I don't think, Jeb.
Yeah,
that's the issue here.
And
that's what I'm saying. Most likely, but you're right. You don't know.
To use a big word, it's not going to be investigated. There's not going to be no decision. Nothing expeditiously.
So
none of those are big words, Corey.
Expeditiously.
You can't use that.
So basically, innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
Yeah. Truly innocent until proven guilty, and they won't be proven guilty for a while.
No. NCAA will take 2 years at least,
or longer.
And you have a situation to where there is no innocent that can be until proven guilty. This isn't the court of law. This is a business, and you can act whenever you want to do it. But everybody's going to try and, there's state representatives from Michigan that have written in on this. I mean, it's about as political as you can get. Yeah. And it's because it's just corrupt. And it's not a matter of being able to be on the right side and do the right thing. It's a matter of having enough sway behind you to threaten the other institution. and whatever it might be. And that's kind of like right and wrong doesn't exist. They're not trying to justify, they're not trying to prove that what happened didn't happen. Everybody knows it happened. All they're trying to do is justify that it's okay. And that's the reason. And with Michigan sending the letters they're sent, it's just kind of, it's dirty, man. It's just so dirty.
Oh, man.
No.
Yeah.
Michael, that's good.
Sodomy Center at Penn State.
Yeah. And the hypocrisy is unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous, man. Like nothing. And you're right, nothing will happen because it's just it's going to turn into one of those like those standoffs, where you're just sitting there trying to figure out who's going to shoot first, and nobody's going to shoot first because it's pointing right back at you, and they're not going to be able to they're not going to want to give up all that money. You're exactly right, and there's just nothing going to be done. And then I think that'll turn off a lot of fans. I think you'll lose a lot of viewership, and I think to the SEC.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where everybody's kind of hoping for a ball don't lie type situation. And maybe Michigan gets beat by Penn State and then gets beat by Ohio State, and then they're in the Citrus Bowl, that type situation that's not even a story. And I think that's what they're hurting because Michigan's trying to say that Ohio State and Rutgers and Purdue were stealing their signs. It's like, come on, Rutgers and Purdue.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's like Tennessee saying, hey, if Vandy just wasn't stealing our signals,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And
the probably one of the ever since Drew Brees left, they had that 1 year where they knocked off a bunch of number 2 ranked teams, but for the most part, Purdue is just freaking bottom dweller.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's just one of those.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all hoping for a ball don't lie. And if you're an Ole Miss fan, honestly, you need Michigan to lose. You need Penn State to win that game, and you need Penn State to lose another game. Since they've already done it. They're not going to go to the championship game. They're probably not going to jump you in the CFP playoff ranking as long as Ole Miss continues to win. Because even if Penn State beats Michigan, if Ole Miss beats Georgia, they're not jumping Ole Miss. And it just kind of clears Michigan out of the way.
Well, based on your conversations today with all the Georgia people, myself included, Georgia's never going to lose another game. So you're screwed on that venture.
Yeah, my thing today talking about the Ole Miss Georgia game was Georgia's won 26 in a row. They've won 42 of the last 43, and they haven't lost a home game since 2019, and they haven't lost at night since well before that. They're due.
There you go.
That is going to be my number one segment on my why Ole Miss wins Saturday.
We're
due
next year.
Ole Miss, Ole Miss
the next
plays
2
Georgia
weeks.
next year too.
Just give me a 3-peat, then we can go 0-12 next year. Just give me a 3-peat.
Hey, they're like Nebraska didn't have a 3-peat. The cards get
Alabama didn't have a 3-peat.
Yeah, Alabama didn't have a 3-peat.
Well, somebody's got to have a 3-peat. It hadn't happened since
Minnesota.
The 30s. Yeah. Minnesota in the 30s. Well, it's going to happen again. We're due. We're due.
Well, I think there's a situation if Ole Miss can get the win on Saturday night. If they can get the win somehow, and like I said, Ole Miss is due for a win like this. It's been about 10 years. But if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, all of a sudden, Ole Miss has a legit argument to get in the tournament because they beat the SEC champion. And Alabama at that point would be they'd be a 2-loss team. I think that is Ole Miss, but Ole Miss has to beat Georgia, which is like, hey, we have to do the Star Wars thing where we, that's barely bigger than a womp rat, to go in there and just an amazing shot to get everything done and blow up the Death Star to do it.
I love the reference.
Yeah.
Well, you got to quit acting like an underdog.
You can't act like an underdog, and you have to believe you're going to win and not just hope you're going to win.
Yeah, I mean that's Kiffin's Achilles heel when he goes into these big games. He thinks he's an underdog, and he acts like it.
I will say this, Corey. Kiffin is visibly saying and everything. I've learned from my last 2 trips to Tuscaloosa, which That's the thing now in these big games that he has
So
not
next year he's
handled
gonna
that
say,
well.
I've learned from my 3 trips to Tuscaloosa.
No, because they don't go to Tuscaloosa next year. But the team, they say the team is just completely loose, and he's not putting off that nervous energy because Ole Miss plays differently against Alabama for whatever reason. I guess it's because of Nick Saban and his desire to win that game. They play differently. This week's been a little bit different. I mean, I'm not saying Ole Miss is going to win the game. I'm going to hope Ole Miss is going to win the game.
No,
but
you need to say Ole Miss is going to win the game. Like you need to give off that energy too. Like I think it's got to echo through the entire fan base.
I'm doing my why Ole Miss wins video just like I always do.
Yeah,
and I'm expecting Georgia fans to bookmark that and come at me like they owned me on the internet, which that's not a real thing.
We did own you, and we're going to bark at you.
Yeah.
That is so lame. I mean, I'd rather have Mush about to at me than some grown man bark at me.
Yeah.
I mean, my God.
You know what's almost as bad as that? Have a drunk Tennessee co-ed with a pom-pom. It's great to be a Tennessee Vol. So damn annoying.
Like in your face?
Yeah, in my face. Just straight pom-pom in the face.
Have you ever been Gator chumped?
Jeb, were you the drunk co-ed doing that?
No,
that's just college.
Jeb was
been that way.
Short checkerboard skirt.
Yeah.
Have you? No, I didn't hear y'all's answer. Have y'all ever been chomped? That's annoying.
No,
I've not been chomped. I've been tiger baited.
Wait till someone like actually physically puts their hands like 2 inches from your face and does this. You know.
I've had a grown man squeal like a pig in Arkansas. That's disturbing.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Jeb, we're not talking about your weekend here, but
yeah.
Oh, we went to a football game later.
Was there
I've been to a
banjo?
Kentucky game that the stadium was half empty because it was basketball season.
Yeah.
Midnight Madness was coming up. They had to get ready for that. Yeah, I don't love the barking thing in people's faces, but yeah. It happens. And Steve ran out of AOL discs.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Oh,
right.
I was getting some feedback. It must have been on his end. All right.
Yeah.
Did they film Deliverance in Georgia? Jeb was trying to film the sequel.
Yeah.
In Arkansas.
Yeah.
I mean, we lost Becky and Steve. I wonder if the internet went out there or something.
Oh, maybe.
Are you in Tennessee, Jeb?
Yeah.
Yeah, you say he's in the penitentiary.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Device not connected. Oh, maybe it is.
The voice of God is back, but Steve has yet to make it back.
Maybe he did actually throw her through a table.
What is this?
Yeah, no, with the
And then she got the last laugh.
Mm-hmm.
with the playoff committee thing, I was just wondering if that might affect their decision. Like, let's say Michigan does lose to Ohio State, so they have one loss, and then somebody else, Washington, Florida State, somebody loses. So you've got
I don't think Florida State's losing. Florida State's best chance to lose was last weekend against Pitt.
Now I agree with that.
I don't think it's not happening.
But Washington might. There might be a chance, like somebody with one
their
loss.
Their best chance already happened
would have
too
to get
with
in.
Oregon.
Well,
Washington plays Utah, so they could actually lose.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, would it affect the committee's decision if they're looking at all of these one-loss teams?
It depends on how many undefeated teams there are, and it depends on a lot of things, like how many one-loss teams are there? Does what happens with Ohio State? If they're sitting there with one loss, or maybe they're even undefeated. I guess if they beat Michigan, they'll be undefeated.
Texas could win their division and be one.
Texas could win the Big 12 and be sitting there. Oregon could have a reverse fate, or like Washington could drop 2 real quick, and Oregon could jump in the championship, Pac-12 championship. Like there's a lot of scenarios that but you need Michigan to lose.
Yeah, they'd have to lose at least once.
At the very least, you need Michigan to lose, and if Michigan loses more than once, like you need Penn State to pull their weight here.
That'd be nice.
Here's an interesting thing I'm starting to see with the college football playoff ranking committee. How they say that they value wins over opponents where you're look at it, and they also say strength of schedule and look at the wins, who you've beaten and stuff. Just just say hypothetically. There we go. I'm trying to think of big words or not. Hypothetically, if
that's not
Ole
a big
Miss,
word, Jake.
For me, it is. That's what I'm saying. It's huge.
There you go. ACT
So,
word.
I got
Yeah. So anyway, so just to say, Ole Miss beats Georgia. They're what, 10th in the rankings right now?
They're
And
not.
Yeah, not.
They're not. Alabama's 8. So will that, even though the committee says that wins over the opponents matter, will they jump Ole Miss over Alabama in the next poll if they do beat Georgia?
But Alabama beat Ole Miss, so
Right. That's what I'm
So
getting.
you would
That's
have
what
to
I'm
you'd
getting.
have to move both of them. Like they could sit right there next to each other and they just move up. Ole Miss won't jump Bama or
Ole
shouldn't
Miss
jump
but we
Bama
can't-
unless
we
Alabama
can't
loses.
we can't jump Texas because they got to win over us unless they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they have
See,
2 losses.
It's
you
getting
basically
weird.
put yourself in a but if Ole Miss beats Georgia, Ole Miss is jumping Alabama
you think so?
just because that's the best win in college football anybody's had.
Well, it would
Right
be
now, the best win in
huge
college
win.
football is Texas beating Alabama. But if somebody beats Georgia, that's the best in college football. See, Alabama, though, here's the kicker,
Yeah,
though.
that's a good point.
It doesn't really matter because Alabama's going to get Georgia. So if Alabama beats Georgia, they're just going to jump Ole Miss again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you have your chance to get it back.
Yeah, but I do think if Ole Miss wins that, they're going to jump to probably 6.
Thank you, Stacey.
Any
Yeah,
more?
that is
Dude,
Man,
true.
Stacey's bringing it tonight.
Yeah,
Stacey
that's-
coming
that is
in
true.
hot.
But I will give you that, Steve. It would be the biggest win of the season for any team. beating
At this
Georgia.
point.
At this,
Yeah,
up
and
to this point.
next week, all that's going to happen is everybody's going to be talking about Ole Miss if Ole Miss wins this game against Georgia.
That's true.
And also everybody's going to start to point out that Ole Miss was without like 4 players against Alabama. All of a sudden, that's going to become a storyline. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of water that has to flow under that bridge.
It's getting crazy.
Yeah,
There's
and
not a lot of water up here in Tennessee. So
There ain't none in Alabama.
Right.
It's dry as a bone up here.
Not so dry here. It's all right.
That's-
But these ranking shows are made for TV events anyway.
That's it.
You know, it doesn't matter. And until the one right after the playoffs, they really don't matter.
Mhm.
Because I tell people on my show all the time, chaos could happen. Ole Miss could get into the number 4 slot before the championship game, and then Ole Miss gets TCU'd and ends up at 5 or 6. And that's just the way it's going to work because basically they put the 4 teams in there they want to see, and Ole Miss obviously isn't going to be a team that they want to see.
they're gonna want Florida State,
Mhm.
and if Texas is sitting there, they're gonna want Texas. They're gonna want the Big 12's final year, or Pac-12 rather. And if that's Washington sitting there undefeated, they're going to be in. And then if Georgia runs the table, it's just going to be Georgia or the SEC champion. It will be, if you have 3 undefeateds, and then the SEC team will finish in 4th, and that's what you'll see.
Do y'all want to know what chaos is?
Yeah, love
All
that
right.
chaos.
Let's hear it.
This is legit and could happen. Let's say
Chaos.
Ole Miss beats Georgia Saturday, and Georgia has 1 loss and they went out.
Mhm.
Now, in that situation, Alabama would be eliminated, but just bear with me a little bit. 11-1 Ole Miss, 11-1 Georgia. Michigan loses to Penn State and beats Ohio State. So Ohio State has 1 loss. Michigan has 1 loss. Penn State has 1 loss. Texas wins the Big 12. They have 1 loss. Florida State drops 1 game. They have 1 loss. And you have a top 8 to where essentially it's all interchangeable resume wise. And somehow the playoff committee is just they're going to have to screw half the teams that could be eligible. Oh yeah. Washington loses to Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. 1 loss. And if that happens, I will be just giggling other than the fact that Ole Miss is inevitably going to be screwed in this scenario. But I'll be giggling at the fact that there's a lot of teams that's just not going to be in the playoffs that just deserve to be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
this is making a good argument for the 12-team playoff next year for sure.
Yeah.
Because every single one of those teams, you just play it out.
Mm-hmm.
Just freaking play it out, and then you get some other teams involved in there. Alabama will jump back into the 12-team playoff. You would have you have Mississippi State jump in. You have Mississippi State, Vandy, in there, and just
no. Stop it.
What?
Stop it, Corey.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Now you can see why you're last in picks.
You're right, exactly.
But the
Vandy train.
now the 12-team
matchups,
playoff. Right now, the 12-team playoffs would be a return trip for Ole Miss to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody would sign up for that game.
Yeah, that would be sick, dude. That would be absolutely
everybody would sign up for that game.
Speaking of picks,
and it'd be half of the SEC.
It is that time.
Yeah.
It's 8:31. It's time for picks. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickle picks. Steve, tell us about them pickle picks.
The
lines are brought to you by betonline.ag. So
why do you have an Allen wrench?
I'm not real sure.
There we go.
Not real sure.
I have the voice of God to the studio. I just like the way all of this looks, and I got to get everything set up real quick because of the way we do things. So I'm producing and talking all at the same time. But anyway, it's time to get locked on pickles.
Producer, folks. He's a producer.
Yes. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, that is. They offer a variety of Cajun spice products like pickles, green beans, okra, and even carrots and asparagus. This is a family-owned company on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles have been pleasing pickle lovers for over 20 years now, and they have become the South's favorite pickle. These are truly the best pickles you'll ever have. No strong deal flavor with a Cajun punch. No over sour taste. This being a small business, they strive to keep all the produce fresh and local from the start, keeping the final pickle product extra crisp and crunchy. You can find these pickle products online at picklestore.com or at your local Rouse's Market or other local Southern Gulf Coast stores near you. Be sure to like Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickle product on Facebook and Instagram. Try these pickles, okra, or beans today. You will not be disappointed. Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles. It's the South's favorite pickle.
Pickle picks. All right. We got some picks lined up for you. As always, you know the rules. When we present these lines presented by betonline.ag, you in the chat can play along. If you just throw a dart at a dartboard, you probably do better than me. So, speaking of which, and as usual, since I'm at the bottom of the table here, I'm going to go first, get out of everybody's way. Then we're going to go Steve, Jeb, Jake, and then Becky. That's going to be the order. Okay, so me, Steve, Jeb, Jake, Cassidy, or Jake / Cassidy, and Becky. So, our first game is the Battle for Keeneland. That is Bama traveling to Lexington, Kentucky to take on the Wildcats. 10.5-point favorites for Alabama. I'm taking Bama. Jalen Milroe is improving each and every week. He's becoming a weapon there. The defense is starting to figure some things out. And this Bama team's starting to roll into shape a little bit. So I'm going to take Bama to cover the 10.5. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. Steve.
That was a bold decision by LSU to try and contain Jalen Milroe by not spying him. That was really, really an interesting situation. But hey, good for Matt House. Maybe he's trying to get that buyout a year early. I do think Alabama is going to go up to the big grocery bag and get the win. They're going to cover fairly easily. This is a game that is probably going to be 20-7, 24-10. Or 24-7 or something like that. I don't know if Kentucky's going to score the ball enough to be able to be effective, and I think Alabama's going to score just enough to cover the line. So give me the Crimson Tide.
Well, I went looking through this to decide the path we needed to follow so that Tennessee and Ole Miss could face in the SEC championship this year. And the first game that needs to go our way is Kentucky beating Alabama. So that's where our hopes will be dashed because there's just no way that's happening. I'm taking Alabama to cover that easily.
Yeah, we're big in Alabama as well. This almost kind of feels like a trap game. I was, coming off a big win. You want to see what the energy level is, and especially with an 11 o'clock game. I hate 11 o'clock games. They're so early, and nobody's really up and flowing yet. The energy level this week, Monday's practice was bad. Saban did say today the practice is a little bit better, so hopefully that continues. But I still think Alabama comes out at least in the second half and just dominates. So I'm taking Alabama. And Cassidy is too.
If Alabama were to drop this game, I don't think Alabama wants to be playing a game in Jordan-Hare Stadium with all the magic that happens in that place, in that game, with a must-win type situation.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
Well, and all of y'all are right, because Alabama's going to absolutely take this one. And I'm saying Alabama's scoring in the 40s. I don't know where Kentucky ends up, probably around 14, but
Sounds like
it's
they're
going to be a
at the food
blowout.
bank.
Want a bold prediction for that game? Kentucky comes out and looks all right at first, and it seems like it's going to be a decent game. And then somewhere around the, early third quarter, Alabama just takes off and destroys them and leaves them behind.
Second
Y'all do
half,
that every game.
second half Alabama's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second half
You
team this
feel like
year.
it could happen this time, and then
Oh,
just take it
no.
away from you.
Every game this
I
year.
know.
Tired of it.
Kevin still
Well,
does make the changes.
We talked about this game. Let's talk about the game of the year in the Southeastern Conference next, Corey.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so pumped for this one. Game day is wrong for not for going to Georgia and not going to this game. It is Columbia, South Carolina. South Carolina hosting Vandy. South Carolina is 13.5-point favorites over Vandy, over a putrid Vandy team. Who that is probably one of the lower spreads that Vandy will get all year. And I'm going to take South Carolina.
Yeah, it's going to be
That
funny
seems
when they beat Tennessee.
No, it's not.
They 50 burger them. I'm taking South Carolina here because they'll have a lead so big in the first half that the fact that they collapse every year in the second half won't matter at all.
Okay. I'll see your South Carolina, and I'll raise you anchor down. I think this is a Vandy game. I don't think South Carolina can score enough to where this game is out of reach. And Vandy's defense is enough that can cause problems. And South Carolina's offensive line is, they're terrible. This is the one game that Vandy wins during the SEC slate is they beat South Carolina outright, not even 13.5. Vandy wins the game outright. Give me the doors.
Okay.
You know what?
I love the confidence.
I'm going to agree with Steve here. I think this is their last chance at a win this season, and they want it desperately. I think they're going to fight for it and at least cover the spread and make it a good game. That's my prediction.
I mean, they still got a chance against Tennessee, Joe. Let's just be honest. So anyway, Anyway, we're taking South Carolina. I don't. Vandy just crushed my spirits when they look like garbage against UTEP, and South Carolina, UNLV, and South Carolina just has been garbage too. But I feel like Spencer Rattler has not had any magic done this year. This could be it. So let's I'm going to take South Carolina and Cassidy is too. And I don't know where Jeb went.
Yeah, Jeb. Jeb's just doing his thing.
Well,
Jeb ran out of minutes.
I'm gonna stick with old Willis on this one, and I'm taking Vandy. I think that they're gonna straight up win the game. I think they're gonna kick South Carolina while they're down.
I'll sacrifice this pick, and I hope that that's the case, but I just don't think so. I just don't think so. Speaking of teams in the state of Tennessee that need desperately to win a game, Mizzou.
Chattanooga? Oh,
yeah, Chattanooga, definitely. East Tennessee State. Mizzou.
Tennessee Martin.
Mizzou coming in. They're not coming in anywhere. They're hosting Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee's coming in as 1.5-point favorites. So this game's basically a pick 'em. Now, I went back and forth on this one because of what Missouri was able to show me against Georgia and what they were able to do. But I think Tennessee presents a lot of problems for them. And since it's just a pick 'em, I don't mind picking Tennessee here. If this was any kind of spread, I would pick Missouri. But since it's just a straight up pick 'em, I think Tennessee does win this game. It'll be a tight one, as most of the games with Missouri are. And there'll be a lot of points scored. And I think Tennessee will just prove to be a little bit too much just based on their scheme.
Yeah, the Luther Burden news that he's might not play, that there's a chance that I think that's advantage Tennessee.
That doesn't help either.
Yeah, Joe Milton, the 40-yard joke, that's a real thing. That is a real thing, and I've got that
Actually not
cocked
a
and
joke.
ready to go in case Missouri wins this game.
It's
But
actually
I'm
not
going
a
to take the
joke.
Tennessee Vols.
Yeah, these next two games both for Tennessee don't feel good about, but especially the Georgia one, obviously. But Missouri, I think Tennessee has been like pulling together. Their offense has been getting better and better here in these last few weeks. They're finally figuring out what they can do with Joe Milton and what they can't. And I just feel like they are going to use their rushing attack, use Joe Milton how they need to, and somehow pull this out in the end. I do think Missouri's kind of mad because Tennessee has a tendency to run up on scoring, especially Josh Heupel himself. So I know that they're kind of like particularly up for this game, which that worries me a lot. But I think we still pull this one out. I'm taking Tennessee to cover.
Jeb, I'm actually thinking that Tennessee is going to be up for this game because they got a big game next week, and they need to show the world that they can hang with Georgia. So I feel like this is going to be a brutal beatdown, and I'm going to take Tennessee, and Cassie is too.
Nice.
I'm with Jake. Yeah. Well said. I'm taking
Going down
Tennessee.
a backwood.
And I think they're going to show up.
Tennessee byway. Yeah.
One arm on the wheel.
Holding my
Well,
lover.
I feel much better.
Yeah,
Luther doesn't play.
we saw Southern thrill.
Roll Tide.
I kind of knew that would happen eventually.
Gonna give me a whirl
Roll Tide.
in a Tennessee Saturday night.
Roll Tide.
All right, we ready for the next game, or are we just enjoying my concert here?
Let's just keep singing this.
All right,
Spend my dollar.
oh, yeah. All right. Speaking of spending my dollar, Ole Miss is traveling to Athens to take on the Dogs. Dogs 11.5-point favorites in this game. I don't like that line whatsoever, but I'm going to pick Georgia because, well, just look behind me. All right, they're the number one team in the country. 26-game win streak. We're never going to lose. We've won 11 billion games. We haven't lost a home game since
2019. Will Muschamp.
Yeah, we've changed presidents since we last lost a home game. We've changed presidents probably 4 times since the last time we lost a night game, especially in Athens. So we haven't lost much. We're going to continue to not lose much. Just give me a 3-peat. Like I said, we can go 0-12 next year. Just give me a 3-peat and I'll be happy. I'm taking the Dogs minus 11.5. Let's go.
Yeah. Apparently COVID, another thing that it killed was the ability for Georgia to lose at home, because since COVID happened, Georgia hasn't lost at home. But you do have a situation. You look in the background, what's going on. I mean, there's no doubt who I'm taking in this game. Give me the Rebels in this game. I think that Jackson Dart and Trey Harris and Quinshon Judkins is going to be a little bit too much. I think Ole Miss wins the game outright. It's going to be just like the 1996 ball game. Ole Miss wins 34-31. Go
I thought you were going
Rebels.
to say 2016. Time's going to run out. These are the arches right there.
Looks like the times I ran on that clock for sure.
Oh, this clock hadn't worked in 20 years.
Yeah, that clock hadn't worked since Georgia lost last.
A night game at home.
Well,
Well,
I think one of the Bushes was in office.
Yeah. I think the last team that beat Georgia at nighttime at home was Sewanee.
good old Swanee.
Coached by John Heisman.
So I have to choose between these two arguments, and I'm gonna tell you this. I'm
not
sorry,
much of a
Corey.
choice.
I'm rooting for Steve to be right. I hope that Ole Miss wins
I
this
mean,
game.
I'm sure I'm sure the entire country outside of a little red blip on the radar is rooting for Ole Miss. I'm not bothered by that. So
probably
hey,
some people
Stacey, how
down
you
there
doing, buddy?
close to Mississippi State too. But either way, that's what I'm rooting for. But if I have to actually pick this, I'm not picking against Georgia right now. They're just playing too well, and just being in the East and having to watch y'all play every week, it's kind of disheartening. I don't know how to beat Georgia right now. Maybe Ole Miss finds out the formula, figures out how to do it. But for now, I'm sticking with Georgia.
There's such a rolling ball of butcher knives at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Rolling ball of butcher knives. Hold on, let me write that down. Hold on. Rolling knives.
best way to handle them is just not be in their way. But
I think Georgia will still win this game, but I do think Ole Miss keeps it within 10. I mean, Georgia, let's just be honest here. Have they seen an offense this year, the one that Ole Miss is going to bring to
the closest
Georgia?
one they've seen was last week.
No, I mean, maybe, but Ole Miss, if you put Ole Miss and Missouri on the field together, Ole Miss rolls them. So, I mean, they're and Georgia got kind of shredded by Schrader. I mean, their rush defense is not as good as it has been.
Inconsistent.
Judkins is really good, and I forgot the second running back y'all got now that's really good.
Ulysses Bentley.
Yeah, I think they're both going to have big games, but I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover it. I don't know if they can win outright. I would love if they could, just to make it just chaos, just absolute chaos.
Oh yeah, I root for chaos at this point.
But I do think Georgia wins. But Ole Miss covers, and Cassidy is taking Georgia to cover.
Of course,
easily.
Is.
Yeah, she's
right, Cassidy.
She likes all those Georgia teams, Georgia and Auburn, all of them.
I know exactly.
Well, she's gonna be disappointed because Ole Miss is gonna shock the crap out of Georgia and win by at least 10.
Wow.
You heard it here, folks. Win by 10, Ole Miss.
Not the 3-touchdown win prediction I had for
over there.
All right.
First quarter looked good.
Becky's whispering those sweet nothings at me. Hurry up. We need to get her and get done.
Second half, though, Jeb.
Steve's family show here, bud. Family show. All right. Ulysses S. Bentley led the troops to a really meaningful battle on the battlefield. He sounds like a war general.
No, Ole Miss is playing Georgia. I'm not going to do Civil War jokes because that's way too low-hanging fruit for me to do what I was going to do, and that's probably with my fan base. That is not a good move on my part.
I just said war. You took it there.
Yeah.
I just said general.
Yeah, you said Ulysses S.
Bentley.
Yeah.
Is that his name?
No, it's just Ulysses Bentley the fourth. Yeah, the U.S.
Is there an S in there?
No, probably not. He's not named Grant.
Well, I didn't say Grant. I said S. Grant doesn't start with an S.
Well, we need to get off the subject, or I'm just, everything about me wants to drop a certain name, and I don't want to do that right now because that will upset Georgia fans.
Oh, I bet I know.
Move along.
Okay, yes.
Sherman.
All right. Certain redhead that did a march somewhere in the ocean.
Let's march on to the next game.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do it, Becky. I like it.
Good.
We're back on the rails. Okay. All right.
Oh, speaking of which, did y'all know that William Tecumseh Sherman was the first president of LSU?
Okay.
Seriously.
I did not.
Did not know that.
Just a little piece of trivia that y'all might not know.
Okay.
Civil War buff. I knew that.
I was trying to get off that train. Steve put me right back on. All right. Florida at LSU. Sherman. He's good. Is he going to march in this game too? I don't know. Florida is looking downright pitiful. Not sure how they won that game last week. Oh, I do know how they won that game last week because
this is how
Arkansas
they're chomping right now.
Fell apart. Hold on. Let me see it. I'm on a. No, they're doing this.
Do the wolf packing thing.
Yeah. Baby chomp. All right. So the Baby Gators, they are traveling to LSU. Oh boy, that's going to be a fun one. LSU is 14-point favorites. Jaden Daniels, well, he's a Heisman candidate or was, can still play like one and will play like one this weekend. I don't think Florida can stop him. I don't think Florida can stop Jalen Neighbors. I don't think they can block Harold Perkins. I just don't think Florida has a whole lot of answers for anything that LSU is going to present to them. And that's a home game for LSU. So that's like extra trouble there. Even as bad as Matt House is at coordinating defenses, I don't think he's going to have a tough one this week to coordinate. So give me the Tigers.
You have a situation. Florida has to beat LSU at Tiger Stadium. They have to win against Missouri. And they have Florida State. They have to win one of those games to be bowl eligible. And I just don't see it. So G5 Billy, Sunbelt Billy. Yeah, this is a bad year too.
Yeah,
okay, Steve.
No, I have to agree. The loss to Alabama hurt, but the loss to Florida upsets me so much more. We just should not have lost to this team. They are not good. I don't know how that happened. LSU's not going to pull that off. They're going to win this game.
Although like that was like a Make-A-Wish kid and wish for that to happen or something like that.
Yeah, because Tennessee was just total trash that day. I just don't understand. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. LSU's not going to fall for that. They're going to beat them and by at least 14. I have no problem taking LSU to cover.
I heard LSU's gonna make Alex Grinch and Matt House co-defense coordinators.
I wanted LSU to play USC next year.
Yeah.
With both.
Yeah.
I wanted to see that game so bad.
Ain't that the truth?
Did you know that Dylan Johnson
the stoppable force versus the movable object?
Yeah. Dylan Johnson ran for 250 yards for Washington against USC. Did you know that Dylan Johnson had not had a 100-yard game previous to that?
Mm-hmm. USC taught to Sharman.
Charm's off, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
But going back to this game, we're taking LSU. Even if Daniels doesn't play,
he will. He's going to practice fully tomorrow.
Yeah, but I was just going to say if he wasn't, I mean, Nussmeier can beat him hands down by himself because Florida's just not good right now. So if Daniels is playing, this is going to be ugly in a hurry. So I think LSU probably beats them by at least 25, 30 points. So give me LSU.
I'm not even going to pretend like I'm trying to justify why I'm picking LSU because it's Florida and they're awful. So I'm picking LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all you need, right? That is all you need. All right. Speaking of all you need, I don't see there's two games really that were like game of the week worthy. I mean, we talked about Vandy, South Carolina, but good Lord, we might be burying the lead not talking about this game. Auburn traveling to Arkansas to take on the Hogs. Arkansas 2.5-point favorites at home. I don't know how Vegas decided on the line for this one. I think they just closed their eyes and picked something, or did like the wheels, we don't know, just screw it. So I'm going to take Arkansas for no real good reason, honestly. I'm just going to take Arkansas to win 2.5.
You have a situation to where generally Hugh Freeze struggles in Fayetteville. He actually won a game with Liberty, but he has struggled previous to that. I do think Arkansas has an advantage over Auburn because they probably have the most spirit fingers of any school in college football. Spirit fingers. And I think those spirit fingers are going to come in handy, and Arkansas is going to run the football on Auburn, and it's going to be like a 17-7 type game because Arkansas's defense is sneaky good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish I could give you some excellent insight or breakdown as to why I'm going to take Auburn in this one, but I really don't have it. This is kind of a toss-up, and I just feel like Auburn's going to end up winning this game. I think Arkansas is going to be a little bit riding high from last week, finally beating Florida. It was a decent win for them, but I think Auburn's going to take this one back. So I'm taking them to cover this time.
Auburn is thinking that they're a good football team now because the last two opponents they played, they beat them handily. But it was Mississippi State and Vandy. I'm not buying it. Peyton Thorne is going to look human again this week. And Arkansas is finally starting to run the ball. And, that offense last week looked totally different. Post Danny Enos, which we figured it would. So give me Arkansas to win this by probably 7 to 10 points. And Cassidy is actually taking Arkansas too, surprisingly.
Oh,
good girl. Good girl. I'm taking Arkansas because I want Hugh Freeze to be demoralized and embarrassed and just give up on trying to pretend like he's a football coach. I would enjoy that very much. And Arkansas, these players have to live in Arkansas, so they deserve something good to happen. So I'm going to take Arkansas.
I think that Hugh Freeze is going to massage this game. And never mind.
Although,
he's
and they're going to ride out on a Harley.
What do you mean by that? Does that mean?
It's just important to see if this game for Auburn has a happy ending. How about that?
Oh, all righty then.
They're going to ride away with this one.
Oh, Lord.
But crash later.
That's a Bobby Petrino joke.
Right. That's the next game, Corey.
That's the next game, Corey.
No wonder why you're failing picks.
We found the problem, folks. We found the problem. All right. So, speaking of problems, there's a whole lot of problems here.
Yeah,
Mississippi
Texas
State
have
at
problems.
Texas A&M. This is again. I really have no good reason other than like Mississippi State is horrible. They're not going to have any answer for Anaya Smith. I don't think Texas A&M is going to win this game by more than 18.5 because they're that good. I just think it's just going to be they're just going to do it by default. And Mississippi State is bad. There's not really much they can do about it. It's a home game. Kyle Field. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Give me A&M.
Well, it's one of those situations that you look at it, it's like, how many points do you think Mississippi State can score? And I'm going between 3 and 7 is where I am at the moment. If that's the case, can Texas A&M score 22 points or 25 points? And I think Texas A&M wins this game like 31-3.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree with this one. I think A&M, I mean, they're still a decent team. They're just not a good team. But Mississippi State is a bad team. So I'm taking Texas A&M, and I think they're going to cover that 18.5. It's a big spread, but I'll go with it.
Jeb, Texas A&M is a perfectly mid program.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
They are as mid as you can get.
They're called Texas 8-4 for a reason, and that is on the table. They have to win out to be Texas 8-4 this year.
Oh,
Please make that happen. Please, please. I'll root for that just for name's sake.
Jimbo and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Ooh, give me that.
Oh, and then let him win it so I can see them dump mayo all over him.
yes.
And then offer him a buyout contract.
Yeah, then finally fire him. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh
Now
man.
that you've cleaned all the mayo off here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mississippi State is terrible right now. I just don't see how, as Steven said, they're going to score at all. You know, they may score 7, but A&M is good enough to score 28 to easily cover this. So they might get 35-40 in this game. So give me A&M.
It's a weird situation considering Ole Miss put 500 yards on that defense. Texas A&M's defense is legit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those guys are some dudes. And I just don't – you're going to have to do something a little bit more complex than Mississippi State can even do.
Yeah.
Well, just to be contrary, and I'm going to give Mississippi State my pity pick of the week. I'm going to pick them to cover. They're not going to win, but they will cover. And everybody's going to be so happy.
College football's first.
Call it the lack of NIL pick of the week, but do something nice for them.
If Mississippi State somehow wins this game, my God, that chair is on fire for Jimbo.
Oh, Jimbo might
That'd
not
be
make it through the
amazing.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimbo won't be in that chair if they lose this game.
No.
Those glasses
man.
slapped right off his face.
I want to put this one up again.
Yeah. I agree.
The first half point in college football history
Yeah.
will happen this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it could happen.
I like that. I like that, Stacey.
Well done, Stacey. Gotta love it. All right, that's going to be the end of our college football picks, our SEC picks. We're going into the Big Ten.
I was just going to say, what do you –
I know.
No, Pac-12 as well.
I meant to say it was the end of our SEC picks, but I said college football instead. Happens.
Same difference.
I get too excited about some of my transitions.
and you see when you pick or where you are, you know.
Yeah, who just went up to the Auburn-Arkansas game? We need to go the other direction.
Yeah. I don't know who did that. I didn't.
What?
There we go.
There we go.
Reading is not the easiest, so back off. I've been practicing and I'm trying.
So there's our game. Michigan 4.5 at Penn State. Happy Valley. Welcome them into Beaver Stadium. Probably going to be a whiteout. Always is. It's going to be a raucous environment. Penn State's always a tough place to play. However, I just don't trust James Franklin in a big game. He hasn't given us
trust
much to
Jim
be
Harbaugh.
confident. I don't trust Jim Harbaugh either. But I think Jim Harbaugh has a slightly better record in big games than James Franklin does. So I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna say Michigan's gonna win this one by 6 points.
I think that all of America.
I want Penn State. I desperately. I will sacrifice a pick. I need the points in the standings, so I'm going to try to pick Michigan. But I desperately want. I'll sacrifice this one too, to have Penn State win this game. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I think Penn State's defense is pretty legit. I think that Michigan's needs to run the football. I think J.J. McCarthy is a good quarterback. They have that advantage right now, but I don't know that Michigan's not frauds. I think
we're going to find out.
Yeah, I think Michigan might be only like really, really good because everybody says they're really, really good, but they're only 4.5-point favorites on the road at Penn State. That's kind of a sucker line at the moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kind of feels like a trap. I'm going to take Penn State to win this game outright and save America from its long national nightmare.
Well, I agree with you, Michigan. And we haven't seen who they are yet. They haven't played anybody. They've had the easiest schedule I think I've seen in college football so far. Now they do end strong, so we'll find out who they are. It's kind of how it plays out with college football. You always find out in the end. But
don't trust James Franklin in these games.
Yeah,
he hasn't shown anything.
And unfortunately, I kind of have to agree with that. I mean, Penn State's a good team, like you said. They're good defense. They run the ball well, but I just think Michigan really is a solid team. They just haven't had a chance to really show it because they're playing their schedule, which is terrible. But I think this week they win. I think they're going to lose to Ohio State, but this week I'm taking them to cover.
You think they're changing it to the mid-10?
The mid-10, yeah.
Well, they didn't want to match their counterparts, the Mid-American Conference, so
no.
They can't take Mac, and they can't take the cool verb of Maction. So
the mid-10.
We're this.
Steve's proud of himself.
Yeah.
Steve's like, I'm so damn proud of myself. Yeah.
We're taking Michigan as well. I mean, everybody's correct. They have not played anybody yet, but I've seen Penn State in big games, especially this year. I mean, they just absolutely pissed down their legs against Ohio State. They look scared from right out of the gate. And they're probably going to play scared against Michigan, and that's just going to get them a big L. So, give me Michigan to cover this.
I hope I'm wrong.
I am too. I hope I'm wrong, but
I hope I'm wrong.
Penn State, James Franklin, you was good at Vandy. Penn State, yeah,
because you could sneak up on people at Vandy.
Right.
Can't sneak up on anyone at Penn State.
Nope.
Difference.
And this is my gross pick of the week. I don't want to pick either one of them, but
shower.
Yeah.
Be careful
I'm gonna
about
go
that joke with Penn State.
Oh.
That is terrible.
Oh man.
I'm picking
Corey.
Penn State because Michigan's just a bunch of cheaters. And if you're so stupid you get caught blatantly cheating, like I got nothing for you. At least pretend.
Mm-hmm.
Hide it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they don't hide it whatsoever.
Nah.
Penn State, let's go.
Next game.
Give America what they want. Next game. We are traveling out west.
We're in overtime.
Yeah, we're traveling out west to Seattle. Utah at Washington, 9.5-point favorites. The Huskies are. I'm taking the Huskies. I like Michael Penix Jr. He's a Heisman candidate. He's played well in big games. The first big test against Oregon, he passed that one. Against USC, passed that one in a shootout matchup. I think Utah, albeit they're a very physical team, I think they struggle more on the road than they do at home. So I'm taking the Huskies.
Yeah, this is a game that I look at whenever Washington comes across a somewhat competent defense, they struggle. They even struggled like against Arizona State. I think Utah's defense is going to give Washington problem and not allow them to cover the 9.5. And I think Utah's offense is going to keep the ball out of their hand. And you're looking at like a 24-17 type ball game. I think Washington wins. I think Utah covers.
Yeah, I don't know. I was a little back and forth on this one too. I think Washington's kind of due a loss. I just don't think they're as good as the other undefeated teams above them. So I'm looking at who I think they're going to lose. I mean, they get Utah and Oregon State pretty much. Well, Washington State, but they're not that good. So and they did beat Oregon. I'm just taking Washington because I just think they're a more solid team right now. Utah has just not really impressed me as much this year. So I'm going to take Washington, although I do think they're due a loss soon. Yeah,
we're taking Washington. Utah kind of, it's got exposed against Oregon, and we saw what they were. They just did not play well in that game at all. I thought they was going to give Oregon at least a shot at winning that game and stealing a game from Oregon, but they didn't. I don't see them stealing a game from Washington. Washington's too good. Michael Penix, like Corey said, is a Heisman favorite right now, or probably one of the favorites. So give me Washington to cover this. Jaden Daniels. I'll tell you who the Heisman favorite ought to be. Is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that dude's good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
He's
Well,
the real deal.
I just learned that the Washington are the Huskies, and that is super cute. So I'm going to go with the Huskies.
There you go.
Oh, it is super cute.
The Huskies play the Ducks, and that's a big rivalry game.
Well, not this week, sir. Not this week. Puddles is safe.
Speaking of puddles and speaking of the Oregon Ducks, they are hosting USC at Autzen Stadium. They are 15.5-point favorites. Oh boy, this one's going to be fun. They have USC has a really bad defense with an interim coordinator who probably doesn't know what to do with this really bad defense, but I guess anything's an improvement over what they've had. However, Oregon's playing at an extremely high level right now. I don't think USC is going to be able to match up well with them. They will score, but I think Oregon will score more. And when I say score more, I think Oregon wins this one by 17. So give me the Ducks.
Yeah, I think USC's defense actually comes out and performs a little bit, and Oregon wins this game by 14 points. This is another situation where Oregon wins the game, USC covers.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I could too, but I think I'm going to go more with Corey's analysis here just because I feel like Oregon has a great offense like USC does, but they also have a good defense, which USC does not. And I just feel like they're going to be able to just outpace them pretty easily and keep this. It's still going to be high scoring. I would definitely take it over in this, but I think Oregon beats them by, like 17 points or so.
Yeah, we're taking Oregon as well. USC is strong and soft on defense, as everybody mentioned. I mean, we're all talking about Jimbo losing his job, but is Lincoln Riley? I mean, he's struggling right now out there. I bet that
Las
season's getting a little
Raiders
hot
online too.
Right. So, we'll see what this new interim defense coordinator does. But Oregon's really good on offense right now. I feel like they're gonna score a lot of points here. I mean, I don't know what the over/under is on this game, but I would probably bet the over, unless it's like 110 or something.
Yeah.
But I'm
very well
take
could.
one.
It
It could be.
the over.
It could be.
Very well could be.
Yeah.
Puddles going to drown some Trojans this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm definitely taking Oregon.
There you go. Stacey thinks USC is going to cover too, Steve. So
there ain't going to be any fight on this weekend. I think they're going to. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. Honestly, I'll believe it when I see it.
I just want Penn State to end our long national nightmare. I want Penn State to do to Michigan what Utah did to Colorado or Oregon did to Colorado.
That'd be fun.
And I just want to because I do think with everything that's going on, if you ever get on Michigan, I do not think they're going to be mentally strong enough to battle through it. I think it's a hope to win, not an expect to win, and they will lay down a little bit if you get up on them. I think Penn State needs to jump on them and kind of check the oil of the Michigan team.
I hope you're right. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen them do that yet.
Right.
It's a home game, and Penn State at home is a different animal.
Is it a night game?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably not. It's the big noon game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then Michigan all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was a night game, Penn State.
Yeah.
So are they going to show?
Michigan has trouble at Penn State for whatever reason.
That is true.
They do have trouble there.
Penn State has trouble at Penn State during a big noon kickoff game. So there's that too. So again, movable object meets a stoppable force here.
Corey, you got a minute 30.
Minute 30. Put me on the clock. Here we go. All right, that's gonna do it for our college football picks this week. For real this time. hopefully I climb up out of the cellar in the picks. But if you're listening and you want to stick around, find us on YouTube, find us wherever you find your podcast. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. You can find Stephen Willis at Locked On Ole Miss. Tomorrow you'll see me on at Locked On Ole Miss with Steve. That'll be fun. That was a fun episode. We recorded that earlier today. So you'll see that at some point tomorrow. I think 2 p.m. is what you said, Steve.
Yeah, 2:00 Central tomorrow. That video airs.
Bingo. All right, you can find Jake at Tide Talk Live. Him and Stacey Blackwood, who is in the chat. They do a killer Alabama show. If you're going to listen to Alabama content, don't listen to anybody else except for them. If you don't listen to them, you are wrong. Jeb at some point is going to
he's still
the
airs us a
airwaves.
podcast.
Jeb's in penitentiary, prisoner number 7448572.
No, he's taking a senior picture.
He's definitely at Olin Mills now. You got to
Yeah.
at Olin Mills. That's that background.
We need like that
It
faux
is that
Pelini,
blue,
that faux Pelini picture of him just holding the cat.
Oh yes. Yeah.
He has the right facial hair for it. So
Yeah.
Where's that cat?
He's like, come here.
it's actually happening. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a cat, but she won't come.
And you can find me at Bleav In Dawgs. We just released an episode just prior to this one. So it's out right now. Israel and I is previewing the clash with Ole Miss. You can find me also on Illegal Motion. You can also find all four of us as we join forces to go outside of the sports realm. After Dark Commentary 1923. I think the new season is going to start soon now that the writer strike's over. So go back and catch up on season 1. Hear our commentary on that. So for Stephen Willis, Jake Thomas, and Jeb Beecham, I'm Corey Burton. We thank our producer, the voice of God, Becky Willis, and our associate producer, Cassidy Thomas, for making this show happen. We are SEC After Dark, presented by DeadSoxy, Stewart's Cajun Dill Pickles, and BetOnline.ag. We'll see you back here next week, back and better than ever. And until then, go Dogs.
Howdy, Todd.
Go Vols.
Roll Tide.
Anchor down.